بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله ما بعد. So continuing from last week, inshallah, we want to elaborate more on the topic of Tawhid. So we said the Tawhid was how many categories? Two, not three. Or four?
I say three, but you say
or one? Anyway, yeah. So you can say, look, we can summarize into two main categories, which were Abdul Khaliq, what were the two main categories of Tawhid we said? Robubeyah and Ilahiyah, yes. And within those two categories we made some elaboration of subcategories. What were those subcategories for Robubeyah? Anybody got their notes with them? Abdul Mukit? No? Nobody memorized it?
His names and attributes?
Yeah, names and attributes one of them. Tawhid Asma' wa Sifat was one of the aspects of Tawhid Robubeyah. What else?
الملك والتصرف.
Yep, Tawhid al-Mulk wal-Tasarruf wal-Tadbir. Anything else? Tawhid al-Khalq wal-Takween and Tawhid al-Hakimiyyah al-Takweeniyah. Anyway, so if we focus today on Tawhid Robubeyah, and we can deal with Tawhid Ilahiyah later. Okay, Tawhid Robubeyah. Okay. Yeah, that's what we're going to do now, inshallah. Okay, so in the Arabic language, linguistically, okay, Robubeyah comes from the verb Rabba. Okay, from the verb Rabba. Okay, and I'll explain some of the meanings for that, inshallah, in a minute. Okay, and from that, okay, this is not very clear. Let me write that again. Okay, and it forms the noun Rabb. Okay, which obviously means Lord. Okay, some of the meanings of this word Rabba includes, okay, to nurture. Okay, like when we say with the parents, when Allah Subhanahu says about our parents, Robbayani saghira kama Robbayani saghira, the way that my parents used to nurture me when I was young. Okay, and they use the word from this verb Rabba. Okay, it means as well to bring into fruition. Okay, okay, to create. Okay, I mean, and to bring everything together. Okay, for well-being. Okay, so for well-being of a person or for people, for the world in general, for everything in general. Okay, so this is some of the linguistic meanings of the word Rabba or Rabb, and Robubeyah is obviously, you know, this attribute of being the Lord, or being the Rabb, and that has all of these meanings. Okay. Okay, so if I rub some of this out, can I rub it out? Yeah. So now in the Sharia, juristically, okay, it means, okay, it's a term that refers to the absolute sovereignty the absolute sovereignty, lordship, okay, supremacy, okay, and kingship of Allah. Okay, He is the king, and this is His kingdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, okay, over the heavens and the earth, and everything in between. Okay. Okay, so that's what we're referring to when we talk about the Robubeyah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay. It is that supremacy and kingship of Allah. He is the Lord, He is the owner of everything. He is the one who is in charge. They're managing all of the affairs. That belongs to Him. We do not attribute to anybody else. Now what does it look like if you do a good deed for somebody and somebody gives the credit to someone else? You do me a favor and I thank him and I give him a gift to say thank you very much, but he's not the one who did the favor to me. You did the favor to me. In the same way, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's the one who created us. He's the one who looks after us, who provides for us, manages our affairs. And then you go and worship a rock or a stone instead. You see the problem when people do not recognize their Lord, do not recognize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who gave them life, the one who gave them health, the one who gave them the eyes and ears and creation, made us in this perfect form. And then along comes some atheist and comes along and says, no, it happened by accident. It was just Mother Nature. All the monkeys, they made us. What are you talking about? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made something so perfect and created all of the heavens and the earth for us. And after all of that, you want to worship what? David Cameron? You want to worship some men in parliament? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is the creator, and to Him belongs everything He created. This is the topic of Robubeyah. That which He has done, that which He does, His attributes, His names, His functions, what He is doing as the Lord of all of mankind, it belongs to Him. To give the credit for that or to attribute that to anybody else, it is shirk in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in His Robubeyah. Okay, so Ar-Rabb, the Lord, He is the one who maintains and sustains all things. Okay, so He's the one who is the maintainer and sustainer of everything. If not for Him, none of the heavens and the earth would be able to survive, would be able to continue and to be maintained and to continue to function in the way that it is. Okay, it's impossible. It all depends on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, so He is the one, Ar-Rabb, the Lord is the one which nothing would exist without Him. Okay, nothing will exist without Him. And the word Rabb itself, the word Lord, it refers to that relationship of domination and control. That He is the one who controls and dominates, and He's an authority, is above. Okay, so He's the one who creates, and He is not needy for us, but we're needy for Him. Okay, this is Ar-Rabb, this is the Lord, the one who He sustains the creation. And He's not needy for it, but the creation is needy for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And here Allah does not need, the Lord does not need any help or assistance in His own kingdom, nor does He need any help in providing for His creation. He is completely self-sufficient by Himself. He has everything He needs. He's not needed for anything at all. Okay, and as a result of that as well, He's the only one that deserves thankfulness for all of this that He's done and provides for us. He's the only one that deserves thankfulness. He's the only one who deserves gratitude for all of this, including the gratitude to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's the only one that deserves to be worshipped, because He's the only one that created us. He's the only one that sustains us. He's the only one who maintains us. He's the only one that provides for us and manages our affairs. The only one that we all rely on and depend on. All of the creation depends on Him, while He depends on nobody. Okay, so for greater reason, He's the only one that should be revered and put above others, submitted to be praised, to be glorified, to be obeyed and followed. He's the only one, because He is Ar-Rabb, He is the Lord, He is the Creator, He is the Master of everything. Okay, because nothing occurs except if He allows it to occur. Okay, that's the Lord. Okay, the one who is a slave, he doesn't move without the permission of his master. And the Lord, he's the one who nobody moves without his permission. Nobody acts without his permission. So Allah Ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu la tuqaddimu bayna yaday Allahi wa rasulih. Do not precede Allah and His Messenger. You don't act until you know what Allah says about that action. Can I do it or can I not? Is it allowed or is it not allowed? That is up to the Lord, the one who created you. So, what we find as well, what we want to point out here, is Robubeyah is found in every chapter of the Quran. Okay? And it is the foundation, okay, for all aspects of the Tawhid. The fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is the Lord, that is why He is the one deserves to be worshipped and followed and obeyed. That is why He's the only one allowed to legislate. The only one worthy for that, the only one suitable for that job is the Creator, the one who created us in the first place. The one who's all knowing and all hearing. The one who knows, has all wisdom. Ahkamul Hakimeen. He's the most wise. Only He has the right to legislate as well. So all other categories of Tawheed, you can see, emanate from this basic principle. When you recognize who is the Creator, the Lord, the one who manages our affairs, from there you know who should be obeyed or followed or worshipped or submitted to or loved, etc. Okay, and this is obviously something which even the mushrikeen before, they recognized this part of the Tawheed, but then they did not give Allah His due, what He deserved as a result of it. Surah 43 verse 87 and Surah 35 verse 13. We'll bring these two here inshallah. So, Surah 43 verse 87, okay, Surah Zukhruf. Okay, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَئِنْ سَأَلْتَهُمْ مَنْ خَلَقَهُمْ لَيَقُولُنَّ اللَّهِ فَأَنَّا يُؤْفَكُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, if you ask them who created them, they will say Allah. So how then do they turn away from worshipping Allah? Okay, so this is the problem. The problem was not really in Robubeyah as such. They knew who their Lord was, but they ended up worshipping other than Him. Okay? And even there are many people in the society today, they're the same. They'll say, if you ask them, do you believe in God? They say yes, they believe in God. And yet they set themselves up as lords to be worshipped instead of Allah. In Surah Fatir verse 13, Surah 35 verse 13, Allah says, يولج الليل في النهار ويولج النهار في الليل وسخر الشمس والقمر كل يجري لأجل مسمى ذلكم الله ربكم له الملك والذين تدعون من دونه ما يملكون من قمطير. He says, He is the one who merges the night into the day, and He merges the day into the night. And He is the one who has subjected the sun and the moon, each moving along its own course. Okay, there's been appointed for them. That is Allah, your Lord. And His is all of the kingdom, the mulk. And those that they call upon instead of Him, they don't even own the skin of the date stone. You know, the little film around the date stone. You know, the white powdery thing. See? So they don't even own this. Okay, they don't even own that little bit. Okay, let alone for them to own the whole earth and the heavens and the earth and everything between them. Okay, or to be worthy to be worshipped or obeyed or followed. So looking at now some of those categories of Robubeyah that we said. Okay. The first category of Robubeyah is Tawhid al-Asma' wa Sifat, and I will actually come back to this later inshallah, because this is a big topic, and so we'll dedicate a session just to this topic later on. So we'll move on to the second category of Tawhid al-Robubeyah, okay, that we mentioned. That was, can I rub this up? Yeah. Okay, so we're going to look at al-khalq wa takween. Okay, so Allah Ta'ala has the attribute of al-khalq, okay, wa takween. Okay, al-khalq wa takween. So Allah Ta'ala, He's the one who creates and He's the one who forms the things. And we believe that is exclusive to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That He's the only one who has the absolute power to create and form things from nothing. Like Adam alayhi salam. Allah created him not from monkeys and apes and primates and whatever. No. He created Adam alayhi salam, okay, from nothing. He created the mud and the water, and He created from that all of the creation, and created Adam alayhi salam, and from him He created Hawa, his wife, okay, with His own hands. There was no need for Him to make evolution and all this nonsense. Okay, nor is there any evidence for that in the first place, neither textually or scientifically or anything like that. So al-khalq is usually what we refer to the creation of living beings. When Allah Ta'ala creates living beings like human beings, angels, jinn, animals and so on, we refer to okay, or rather we say those things with the soul, like humans, angels, jinn. Okay, we call that al-khalq. Okay, in general we can use the word khalq for all matters, but if we are specific in this case, putting these two words together, takween wal khalq, we'll be more specific and say is creating those living things with the soul. Whereas at takween we refer to the creation of all other things without a soul, like the mountains and the heavens and the oceans, the trees and so on. Okay, so some of the evidences for the attribute of al-khalq. Okay, Surah 2 verse 62. Surah 2 verse 62. Surah 2 verse 62. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, no, that's not right. That's not the right reference. Apologize. Okay, I'll get the right reference for you for this one inshallah. Just give me one moment. Okay, I'll give you that reference later inshallah, but first I'll give you another one, 3796. This should be correct. Okay, I'll come back to this one later. 3796. 3796, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Wallahu khalaqakum wa ma ta'malun. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created all of you and everything that you do, all of your actions. They're all creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. there's nothing at all which is not part of His creation. Okay. Even when we say our own actions, what we do, and when we fight jihad, and when we give da'wah, when we confront each other, all of this is part of the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without exception. For example, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Anfal verse 17, Surah 8 verse 17. Okay, this is where the Mu'tazila, they differ with us, because they say that our actions are not part of the creation of Allah, whereas we say Allah created us and created our actions. Surah 8 verse 17, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَلَمْ تَقْتُلُوهُمْ وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ قَتَلَهُمْ وَمَا رَمَيْتَ إِذْ رَمَيْتَ وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ رَمَى. Allah subhanahu says that when you did not kill them when you killed them, rather Allah is the one who killed them. And you did not throw when you threw, but it was Allah that threw. Okay, so you see, even our actions, they are at the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and part of His creation. Another verse inshallah we'll bring for Tawhid al-Khalq wa Takween, Surah 7 verse 54. Okay. Surah 7 verse 54. Okay. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إن ربكم الله الذي خلق السماوات والأرض في 6 أيام ثم استوى على العرش. Allah says, verily your Lord is Allah, the one who created the heavens and the earth in 6 days, and then He rose above the heavens, above the throne. يغشي الليل النهار يطلبه حثيثا والشمس والقمر والنجوم مسخرات بأمره ألا له الخلق والأمر تبارك الله رب العالمين. He says, he continues to say, He's the one who He covers the day with the night, one following each other, with the sun and the moon and the stars subservient to His commands. And is it not for Him the creation and the command? Okay, and blessed is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Lord of all the worlds. And the next verse, Surah 6 verse 1. Okay, Surah 6, Surah An'am verse 1, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Alhamdulillah alladhi khalaqa as-samawati wal-arda wa ja'ala adh-dhulumati wan-nur thumma alladhina kafaru bi rabbihim ya'dilun. He says, all praises for Allah, the one who created the heavens and the earth and brought into all the darkness as well as the lights. And yet those who disbelieve in Allah, they set up partners with Allah or rivals with Allah, treating them the same. Another verse, inshallah, Surah 23 verse 14. Surah 23 verse 14. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, ثم خلقنا النطفة علقة. ثم خلقنا النطفة علقة فخلقنا العلقة مضغة فخلقنا المضغة عظاما فكسونا العظام لحما ثم أنشأناه خلقا آخر فتبارك الله أحسن الخالقين. Allah says that, so then Allah created out of the sperm a cell, a alaqa, a clot, and then we created out of that clot a lump, and then out of that lump we created the bones, and then we clothed it with flesh, and then we bring all of this, created from this, all of this we created a new creation. And so how blessed is Allah, the best of all creators. Okay, so these are all evidences for Tawhid al-Khalq, the attribute of al-Khalq. Okay, so specifically al-Khalq. And evidences for at-Takween as well. You can include these as well, part of that, but also we can bring here inshallah Surah 2 verse 117. Okay. Okay. So Surah 2 verse 117, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, بديع السماوات والأرض وإذا قضى أمرا فإنما يقول له كن فيكون. He said that he is the one who brings, originates all of the heavens and the earth. And whenever he wills for something, he will say to it, kun, be, and it will be. Okay, this is where the word at-takween comes from. Allah Ta'ala makes it come into existence, come into creation, just by saying to it, be. Okay, things will exist because of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, so Allah Ta'ala says, be, and it is, and it will be. Okay, also on this point, Surah 16 verse 40. Okay, Surah 16 verse 40, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّمَا قَوْلُنَا لِشَيْءٍ إِذَا أَرَدْنَاهُ أَن نَقُولَ لَهُ كُن فَيَكُونَ. He said, and whenever we will anything to be, we just say to it, be, and it will be. Okay, or and it is, rather. Okay, and what the ulama said is, even between the kaf and the noon, the word kun is 2 letters, kaf and noon. So between the kaf and the noon, it comes into existence, it begins. Okay, it is done. Another verse, inshallah, Surah 36 verse 82. Okay, Surah 36 verse 82. Okay, take these references down, inshallah, study them, refer to them, memorize them even if you can, and get to know, inshallah, the issue of the Tawhid of Al-Khalq wa Takween. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Yasin verse 82, 36 verse 82, إِنَّمَا أَمْرُهُ إِذَا أَرَادَ شَيْئًا أَن يَقُولَ لَهُ كُن فَيَكُونَ. He said, and this is his, whenever he wills something, he only says to it, be, and it will, and it is. Okay, and it is. Okay, so this is the attribute of Allah. Nobody else can share with Allah this attribute of Al-Khalq wa Takween. Anybody who claims it for them or think that when Allah Ta'ala says that He is Badi'u Samawati wal Ard, I mean He is the originator of the heavens and the earth, it came from Him. Anybody claims that it did not come from Allah or it came from anywhere else, he is kafir or mushrik. He is kafir and mushrik. Okay. Okay. Shall I rub out or shall I write underneath? We'll rub out because I might not be able to see it properly. Have we got down the references already? Yep. Okay, so the next type of attribute of Allah, of Robubeyah, okay, you can understand this as attributes of Robubeyah. Okay, of at-tasarruf, wat-tadbir. Okay, we said as well mulk. Okay, it's all linked in inshallah. Okay, al-mulk wat-tasarruf wat-tadbir. Okay, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exclusively has the absolute power of controlling, of possession, of being the owner and administering all matters. He does whatever He likes. Tasarruf, the one who He's able to do whatever He likes. Okay, He is mudabbir al-amr. He's the one who makes the commands. He's able to do as He wishes with His creations. Surah 2 verse 164. Okay, so Surah 2 verse 164. Okay, so Surah 2 verse 164, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إن في خلق السماوات والأرض واختلاف الليل والنهار والفلك التي تجري في البحر بما ينفع الناس وما أنزل الله من السماء من ماء فأحيا به الأرض بعد موتها وبث فيها من كل دابة وتصريف الرياح والسحاب والمسخر بين السماء والأرض لآيات لقوم يعقلون. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that verily in His creation of the heavens and the earth and His alternating the night and the day and even the boat that runs over the sea in order to benefit mankind, and what Allah makes to descend from the heavens from water and brings to life the earth that was dead after it was dead, and what He makes come forth out from that, from every animal, and the controlling of the winds and the and the clouds, and making them run their own courses appointed by Allah Ta'ala between the heavens and the earth. Okay, there are signs in this for those who contemplate. Also, Surah Al-Jathiyah, Surah 45, verse 5. Okay, so who does all of that? Who manages all of these matters? All of the creation of Allah Ta'ala, bringing putting that, laying down for them their own laws of physics, telling the earth to pull everything to the ground in terms of gravity. Imagine the earth didn't obey you and threw you from its back. Imagine the sun decided it's not going to come out today. Imagine now the earth decided to stop spinning. It's not going to work. It's not going to. Our lives will not be able to continue, because our lives depend. The heavens and everything in the heavens and earth depend on these things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala set into place and ordered and maintained to stay into place. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not send down the rain from the sky, it would not happen. Okay? It's not that they figured it all out and they do it all themselves. No. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has maintained this order in all of the heavens and the earth, and it is only under His control. Surah 45 verse 5, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَاخْتِلَافِ اللَّيْلِ وَالنَّهَارِ وَمَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ مِنْ رِزْقٍ فَأَحْيَا بِهِ الْأَرْضَ بَعْدَ مَوْتِهَا وَتَصْرِيفِ الرِّيَاحِ آيَاتٌ لِقَوْمٍ يَعْقِلُونَ. Very similar, inshallah. He says the alternating of the night and the day, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings down from the heavens in terms of rizq, of provision, and bringing it to life, the earth after it was dead, and in the changing of the winds, there are signs for those who contemplate or those who have reason. Another two verses, inshallah. Surah 6 verse 46, first of all. Okay, so Surah 6 verse 46. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. قل أرأيتم إن أخذ الله سمعكم وأبصاركم وختم على قلوبكم من إله غير الله يأتيكم به النظر كيف نصرف الآيات ثم هم يصدفون. Allah Ta'ala says, what do you think if Allah were to take away your hearing and your sight and to seal your hearts? Which God instead of Allah can bring it back for you? Is there a God beside Allah that can bring it back for you? Okay, so look at how many places Allah Ta'ala's messages have come to you, and yet they turn away. Okay. Also, Surah 24 verse 43. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, ألم تر أن الله يزجي سحابا ثم يؤلف بينه ثم يجعله ركاما فترى الودق يخرج من خلاله وينزل من السماء من حبال فيها من برد فيصيب به من يشاء ويصرفه عمن يشاء يكاد سنا برقه يذهب بالأبصار. He says, have you not seen that is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that causes the clouds to move to different places and joins them together and then piles them up in huge masses until you can see the rain coming from them. And He is the one who sends down from the skies those clouds, sometimes with hail, striking at whoever He wishes and saving whoever He wishes from them. And as well, He's the one who sends the flashing of the lightning, which might even take away your own sight. Okay, or nearly took away your own sight. So this is the attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala of at-tasarruf. He is the one who manages and fulfills and lays down all of the affairs of His creation. Okay.
Is that what that means?
At-tasarruf, yeah. At-tasarruf, the one who He does whatever He wishes and He has full control over His creation. Okay? Like if I were to sell you, my car, and you were to take it away, you have a tasarruf over that car because you own it now. It's your car. I can't knock on your door the next day and say, look, I need to take your car and do the shopping. So, what do you mean? No, it's my car. You're the one who, you look after the car, you decide when you drive it, when you don't drive it, you decide when you fix it or you don't fix it, you put the petrol in, you're responsible for everything. You're the one who does everything for it, nobody else. The old owner is no longer in control of it anymore. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is the sole owner of all of the creation, and He looks after all of it. He fulfills everything. He does with His creation whatever He wishes, and that belongs to only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay. At-tadbir as well is a similar matter, more specific than the other, in relation to laying down the commands, commanding His creation with all of the affairs. Surah 10 verse 31, I believe. Let me just double check that reference, inshallah. Okay. Yep. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, قل من يرزقكم من السماء والأرض أمن يملك السمع والأبصار ومن يخرج الحي من الميت ويخرج الميت من الحي ومن يدبر الأمر فسيقولون الله فقل أفلا تتقون. Allah Ta'ala says, say, who is it that provides for you from the skies and the earth, and who is it that has full control over your own hearing and your own sight, and who is it that brings the life out from the dead, and who is it that brings the dead from the life, from the living, and who is it that governs all of the affairs or all of the matters. Okay, yudabbiru al-amr. Okay, so he is the one who has the tadbir. Yudabbiru from the verb tadbir, from dabbar. Okay, so he is the one who he controls and lays down the commands for all of the affairs. So they will say Allah, and so reply to them, should you not then fear Him, fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Okay. Also, Surah 32 verse 5. Okay. Surah 32 verse 5, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يُدَبِّرُ الْأَمْرَ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ إِلَى الْأَرْضِ ثُمَّ يَعْرُجُ إِلَيْهِ فِي يَوْمٍ كَانَ مِقْدَارُهُ أَلْفَ سَنَةٍ مِمَّا تَعُدُّونَ. Allah ta'ala says, He is the one who governs everything that exists from the heavens and the earth. Okay, from the heavens to the earth. And He is the one who everything will rise and ascend to Him on that day, which is like 1,000 years of your days, of what you count. Okay, on the day of judgment, everything will return up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, and He is the one who governs all of the affairs, all of the matters. Okay. Also, the hadith narrated by Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu in Sunan At-Tirmidhi, that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said to him, to be aware, know that if the whole of mankind gathered together in order to help you, they would not be able to help you except in what Allah has written for you already. And if the whole of mankind gathered to harm you, they could not harm you except in what Allah has already written for you. Okay, so I'll repeat that inshallah. So he said, know that if the whole of mankind gathered to benefit you, to help you, they would not be able to help you in anything except what Allah has written for you. Okay. So if all of mankind gathered together to benefit you or help you, they would not be able to benefit you in anything except what Allah has written for you. And if the whole of mankind gathered to harm you in something, they would not be able to harm you except what Allah has written for you. Okay, you got that? Okay, so then if we have a look at the next attribute of Robubeyah, and that is Tadbir. Tadbir is to govern or to manage all of the affairs. I mean, he lays down the commands. You know, for example, he tells the mountain what to do, tells the sun what to do, tells the angels what to do, tells the weather what to do. He lays down the commands to govern all of the affairs of all of his creation. Okay. So now, Al-Hakimiyyah At-Takwiniyyah. It's also an attribute of Robubeyah. Okay, this is known as well, referring to the fate and destiny. Okay, Qadar wal Qada. Okay. He is the one who lays down the fate and destiny. You know, he decided things, he decided laws for the nature and for mankind and for the heavens and the earth and all creation in matters they have no choice in whatsoever. They have no control over it whatsoever. Okay, so there's two types of Hakimiyyah. Hakimiyyah in relation to what he's decreed without any choice in the creation whatsoever. And there is the Hakimiyyah of At-Tashri'iyyah, of the laws he laid down, but you gave some of the creation free will to obey or disobey, and they'll be accountable for it on the Day of Judgment. So this one we're referring to Al-Qadar wal-Qada, the fate and destiny, matters which no creation has any say in it whatsoever. And belief in that Qadar wal-Qada and that fact that is in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exclusively is part of At-Tawhid, part of the Robubeyah. Okay, so Al-Qadr is the belief that everything that happens is from the knowledge, will and power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, so the Qadr is the belief that everything that happens is from the knowledge, the will and the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Doesn't happen without His knowledge, doesn't happen without His permission and will, and doesn't happen except by the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, and He's the only one who has that power to predestine any fate and destiny, to decide beforehand what will happen in every matter. Okay, some of the evidences for this in Surah Baqarah verse 117, we mentioned it before already. Surah 2 verse 117, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَإِذَا قَضَى أَمْرًا فَإِنَّمَا يَقُولُ لَهُ كُن فَيَكُونُ. He said, whenever Allah decrees a matter, okay, whenever He decides a matter, He says be and it will be. Okay, that's why we say the qada is a matter of at-takwiniyyah. Okay, it is His takween, that He decided, He said it, be and it is. Okay, not that He said, if you do it you go to hellfire, if you don't you go to Jannah. You know, not that matter. No, this is a matter. I've decided it. You're going to do it, whether you like it or not. Surah 6 verse 2 as well. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, هو الذي خلقكم من طين ثم قضى أجلا وأجل مسمى. Okay, وأجل مسمى عنده ثم أنتم تمترون. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, He is the one who created you from clay. And then He decreed a lifespan for you, and then another term for the only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will know, and yet you doubt. you have doubt with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in it. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already decreed, for example, in His own legislation of the qada and the qadr, when you will die, how long you will live. It's not under your control. You have no control over it whatsoever. That is up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's already decreed it, has already decided it beforehand. Okay. Also Surah 41 verse 12. Surah 41 verse 12, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَقَضَاهُنَّ سَبْعَ سَمَاوَاتٍ فِي يَوْمَيْنِ وَأَوْحَى فِي كُلِّ سَمَاءٍ أَمْرَهَا وَزَيَّنَّا السَّمَاءَ سماء الدنيا بمصابيح وحفظا ذلك تقدير العزيز العليم. Allah says that Allah decreed, He's the one who decreed that they will become 7 heavens in 2 days. And He will do them in 2 days. And He ordered each heaven its own function, and He decorated the heaven of the earth with the stars and the lights and made them secure. Okay, and this is the command or the taqdeer, the qadr what Allah decreed of the Al-Aziz Al-Alim, Almighty Allah, all-knowing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Surah 64 verse 11 as well. Okay, Surah 64 verse 11, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, ما أصاب من مصيبة إلا بإذن الله ومن يؤمن بالله يهدي قلبه والله بكل شيء عليم. He says, no calamity, nothing, no calamity ever befalls you, never falls upon you, except it is with the permission of Allah. And whoever believes in Allah, Allah will guide his heart towards the truth, and Allah is all knowing, has all knowledge of everything. Okay, and let's give one more verse inshallah. Surah Zumar, Surah 39 verse 42. Surah 39 verse 42, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Allahu yatawaffa al-anfus hina mawtiha والتي لم تمت في منامها فيمسك التي قضى عليها الموت ويرسل الأخرى إلى أجل مسمى إن في ذلك لآيات لقوم يتفكرون. Allah says, it is Allah who causes all human beings to die, at the time of their own death, and during their sleep, those who are not to die, Allah Ta'ala will withhold those upon who decree the death, and let the others return for an appointed time for them. And this is all from the ayat, the signs for those who contemplate, those who think about it. So Allah subhanahu He alone decides when we die, and that is part of His own decree, part of His own hakimiyyah, at-takwiniyyah. Okay, and I will refer to that more again inshallah later on when we talk about hakimiyyah again in more detail in relation to hakimiyyah at-tashri'iyyah as well. Okay, so these are 3 of the types of Robubeyah that we mentioned, the attributes of the Lord, of al-khalq wa-takween, of al-mulk wa-tasarruf wa-tadbir, of al-hakimiyyah at-takwiniyyah. Okay, so we said the creation, that He's the one who forms things and creates things from nothing. He's the one who manages all of the affairs, has full control, does whatever He wishes, has full possession. He's the owner of everything. And we said as well, He's the one who has the fate and destiny in His hands. He decrees all matters within His knowledge, His power and His will. And He legislates matters which the creation has no choice in it at all. And the 4th one, which we left until later, which we can make a start on now inshallah, is the topic of al-asma' wa sifat, the names and attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala belonging exclusively to Him. Okay, so we said that one of the attributes of Tawhid, Robubeyah, is that the names and attributes of Allah belong to Him alone, okay, to Him exclusively. So we can elaborate on that inshallah now. Okay, so how do we explain our belief in Allah's names and attributes? And this is a matter that has some controversy among the people of the past, where some of them they started to innovate and to deviate from the path of the Salaf. Okay, so if we rub this out now, inshaAllah. Okay. Asma wa Sifat. Okay, so this is names and attributes. Okay, so the names and attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in relation to the names and attributes, there are different approaches that people took in understanding, these attributes. There is, certain terms we can learn, inshallah. There's something called isbat, okay, or tasbeet. Okay, meaning to affirm. Okay, meaning to say, okay, I believe in it. We accept it. We accept this is the case. This is His name. This is the attribute. This is His description, and we'll only affirm whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has described about Himself. That is what we will describe Him as, and a firm belief upon that, and we will never deny it. Okay, because we can never envisage or understand or describe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by our own rational mind. We only describe Him by the way that He described Himself. There are other things that people they do as well. There's something called tahrif, okay, which means to distort. Okay, something called ta'til, okay, to negate. Okay, to negate. Okay, so to distort is, for example, what the Christians did. The Christians, they took from Allah Ta'ala what He revealed to them, describing Allah as being the one exclusive to be worshipped, the only one, the Lord of Isa, the Lord of all of the Anbiya, the Lord of all creation. And they distorted what was sent to them, and they started to say that Isa was Allah, that Isa was the son of Allah, that He has a son, that Maryam alayhi salam, well, she was in fact the mother of God. Okay, this type of thing that they added, and they distorted what Allah revealed, adding attributes to Him that does not belong to Him, that is not fitting for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And similarly, people started to say distortions nowadays as well from the Muslims, from the Shia, the Rafida. They started to say that Ali was, the Nusayriyah, they said that Ali was God. Okay, even some people, they started to say that the Prophet ﷺ, he was created from the nur of Allah, from Allah he was created apart. This all type of kufr beliefs is rejected in Islam. Ta'til is to negate, is to say it's not true, it doesn't exist. Okay, or to negate the meaning. Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that He has a hand, they will say no, He has no hand. Okay, Allah ta'ala will say He has a face, they will say no, He has no face, Allah has no face. Okay, this ta'til, completely negating whatever Allah said, they negate it, say no, it's impossible, it cannot happen. Even with good intention. Okay, all of them, maybe they did it with good intention, but it's completely rejected and is kufr in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have as well something called ta'wil, and that is called interpretation. Okay, interpretation, ta'wil, is to leave the original meaning, the apparent meaning, for a metaphoric meaning without an evidence. Okay, or that is rather the ta'wil al-fasid, is the corrupted or false interpretation, when people they leave without an evidence. Whereas we will never leave the apparent meaning for a metaphoric meaning unless we have a divine evidence, especially in a matter like the attributes of Allah, because we can never understand it rationally to make that kind of judgment or to decide what was intended, except to trust that Allah meant what is understood normally. The other approach that people have is called tafweed. Okay, so tafweed is, how can we say this, is to leave it pending. Okay, or to say I don't know. Okay, essentially what you're saying is say, I don't know. Tafweed means, you are not taking a stance. You're neither affirming, nor are you negating, nor are you interpreting. Okay? So what we're talking about is when somebody, they say, maybe Allah has a hand, maybe Allah doesn't have a hand. I don't know. Okay? Maybe Allah has a face, maybe He doesn't have a face. I don't know. Maybe Allah is above the throne, maybe He's not above the throne. I don't know. That is tafweed. Okay? Again, with good intention. So what they will say is, for example, the word yad in Arabic, it can mean hand, it can mean power, it can mean body, it can mean many things. Okay? The word ayn, can mean eye, it can mean river, it can mean the essence of the thing, a person, the whole body of a person. It can mean many things. So they said, does it mean hand or does it mean power? I don't know. I will leave it to Allah. This is another approach that people they have. Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, they have this approach. Okay, in general, we would take the names and attributes of Allah on its apparent meaning, affirming the apparent meaning of the words, the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. However, we will say, bila kayf, we don't know how. If it doesn't agree with your ration, let your ration bang its head against the wall as much as it likes. We don't know how. Okay, if you're not sure how is it possible, Allah knows how it's possible. You don't know how it's possible. But we know it's true because Allah said so. Okay, we have no reason to go to any other meaning unless we have a divine evidence from the Quran and Sunnah about it. Okay, whereas all of these other approaches to the meaning, the original meaning itself of the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is deviation from the path of the Salaf, path of the Sahaba. Okay, this is general understanding that we just want to explain. Okay. Okay. So in relation to the Tawhid of Allah's names and attributes, for us to understand the evidences behind this, inshaAllah. Can I rub this out? Yep. Okay. So we have verse number 27, verse 27. Okay, Surah 30, verse 27. Okay, which one is it? 30, verse 27. Okay. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, okay, وهو الذي يبدأ الخلق ثم يعيده وهو أهون عليه وله المثل الأعلى في السماوات والأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that He is the one who creates everything in the first instance, and then He brings it again, returns it again, and that is easy for Him. Because for Him is the greatest example. He is وَلَهُ الْمَثَلُ الْأَعْلَى. Meaning His example, His description, it is the greatest, the highest description in all of the heavens and the earth. And He is Al-Aziz Al-Hakim. He is Al-Aziz, the Almighty, and Al-Hakim, the wise, all wise. Also, Surah 7, verse 180. Okay, Surah 7, verse 180. Okay, so we understand Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has the greatest of attributes, the greatest description. It belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Surah 7, verse 180, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلِلَّهِ الْأَسْمَاءُ الْحُسْنَى فَادْعُوهُ بِهَا وَذُرُّ الَّذِينَ يُلْحِدُونَ فِي أَسْمَائِهِ سَيُجْزَوْنَ مَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, verily Allah, to Allah belongs all of the beautiful names. So call Him by those names and leave those who disbelieve in His names, because they will be punished for everything they used to do. Okay, so Allah Ta'ala warned us from having that negation and disbelieving in His names and attributes and ordered us to call Him by His names. Make dua to Allah by His names. You say Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, calling Him by His names. And also we can add to this inshaAllah Surah 17 verse 110. Okay, Surah 17 verse 110, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, قُلِ ادْعُوا اللَّهَ أَوْ ادْعُوا الرَّحْمَنَ أَيًّا مَا تَدْعُوا فَلَهُ الْأَسْمَاءُ الْحُسْنَى وَلَا تَجْهَرْ بِصَلَاتِكَ وَلَا تُخَافِتْ بِهَا وَابْتَغِ بَيْنَ ذَلِكَ سَبِيلًا. He says, say, call upon Allah, or call saying Ar-Rahman, either one, whichever one you call using, whichever name you call using, to Him belongs the beautiful names. Okay, and he said obviously as well from this, he spoke about the salah in the night time, not to raise your voice too loud or to be too quiet, but in between those two somewhere. Also we have Surah Hashr, Surah 59 verses 23 to 24. Okay, Surah 23 to 24, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الملك القدوس السلام المؤمن المهيمن العزيز الجبار المتكبر سبحان الله عما يشركون. He said He is the one, there's none worthy of worship but Him. He is Allah, there is none worthy of worship beside Him. He is, and these are His names, Al-Malik, Al-Quddus, Al-Salam, Al-Mu'min, Al-Muhaymin, Al-Aziz, Al-Jabbar, Al-Mutakabbir. Okay, there's various meanings inshaAllah. Perhaps we can do halaqah one day just on the meanings of His names and attributes as well. Okay, but He names, He is the King, He is the pure, He is the peace, He is the one who gives the security and protection, He is Almighty, etc. Then it continues, هو الله الخالق البارئ المصور له الأسماء الحسنى يسبح له ما في السماوات والأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم. He is the one who is Al-Khaliq, the creator, Al-Bari, Al-Musawwir, the one who forms and makes and shapes the creation, and to Him belongs all of the beautiful names, and everything is in the heaven and the earth glorifies His names, and He is Almighty, All-Wise. Okay, so these are the names and attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, and there's a couple of things we want to mention from here as well. So some of this stuff we don't need to go through, inshallah, we can skip over a little bit. Okay, I'm not going to go into all of this detail, inshallah. But a couple of the most important verses in relation to the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, Surah 42 verse 11. Surah 42 verse 11, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, ليس كمثله شيء وهو السميع البصير. He said there is nothing similar to Allah whatsoever, and He is all hearing, all seeing. Okay, He is all hearing, all seeing. So from these lessons we can learn three main principles in relation to the names and attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in our manhaj and our methodology of understanding them. So first, that we have isbat, okay, affirming the apparent meaning, okay, we have tanzih, which is removing any similarity with creation. Okay, so we don't become like the mushabbihah, make tashbih, they say that Allah is like the human being or Allah is like the creation. We don't do that. Rather, we make tanzih. We separate and say, look, there's nothing in similar to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Our attributes are nothing like His attributes. Okay, laysa kamithlihi shay. There's no way for any of the attributes of Allah to be similar to our attributes. Nevertheless, we affirm the apparent meaning. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that He has 2 hands, we understand Allah has 2 hands, but they are nothing like our hands. They are nothing like the hands of the creation. There's a big difference between the two. Okay, Allah said, "Laysa kamithlihi shay, wa huwa as-sami'ul basir." And He is hearing and He hears and He sees. And as well, He described human beings as what? Sami'un basir, that the human beings, they hear and they see. But the hearing of Allah and the hearing of human beings, they're not similar at all. There's no similarity. Okay, we are dependent on our ears and our organs to hear. Okay, if you stick one of those cotton buds too much in your ear, you can't hear anymore. But there's nothing will stop the hearing of Allah Ta'ala. It doesn't need any organs to hear. We can hear only as far as maybe the next room. Okay, the animals hear better than us. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He hears everything, and nothing is hidden from His hearing at all. Even what is hidden in your heart, what you're saying to yourself in your heart, Allah hears it. So our hearing is nothing like Allah's. Our sight is not like Allah's. We can see, if there's light, we can see. If we got clear view, no obstacles in our way, then we can see. Okay, many things we can't even see. Certain colors we can't even see. The animals see them, we can't see them. We can't see the jinn, yet the jinn can see each other. So our eyesight is limited, but the sight of Allah is not limited. He sees everything, and nothing can obstruct His view at all. No, He doesn't rely, doesn't depend. So you can see how, even when the names of the attributes of Allah sound similar to the attribute of a human being or a creation, there's in fact nothing like them at all. So we have tanzih. We remove any distance Allah from any similarity to the creation whatsoever. And the third one is, we say bila kayf. Okay. We say we don't know how. Okay, so we never ask the question, how does Allah hear? How is Allah above the heavens? Why you want to ask this question? If Allah subhanahu wanted us to know, He would have told us. Okay, whatever He described from us, for us about Himself, that's what we know. Beyond that, how can we know? How can we possibly contemplate or even think that we can figure out what Allah subhanahu is like or describe Him, except what has been revealed to us about it already? So beyond what Allah has revealed, which we affirm upon its meaning without any question. Okay. Beyond that, we don't ask how. We don't ask anything extra. We don't look to further or put conditions upon it. Okay. Like the Mu'tazila, they used to say, how can Allah speak if He doesn't have a voice box and a throat and vocal cords? So why does Allah need all of these things? He has speech. He says the Quran is kalamullah. He said, hatta yasma'a kalamullah. He said, let the mushrikeen hear the word of Allah. Is it His word or not? Of course it's His word. We affirm it. He said it's His words. But His words are not like our words. And who told you need this how question and add conditions? He must have this, He must have that. If He doesn't have this, Allah cannot speak. Who told you that? You can't make up these conditions and this takyif, this kayfiyya, this how business. We're not interested in that. Okay, so this is, inshallah, in summary, the evidences for the different categories of Tawhid al-Robubeyah that we mentioned last week. Okay, so we still have to do then is the attributes of Ilahiyya. Okay, which is the 4 attributes of Ilahiyya. We said Tawhid al-Ibadah wal-Taqdees, Tawhid al-Ittiba' wal-Ta'a, Tawhid al-Mahabba wal-Wala, and Tawhid al-Hakimiyyah al-Shari'iyyah. Okay, so the Tawheed of worshipping and reverence, the Tawheed of following and obedience, the Tawheed of loving and allegiance, and the Tawheed of the legislation of Allah, the right of legislation exclusively that belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All of these are part of al-ilahiyya, Tawhid al-ilahiyya, okay, in relation to the word ilah, the way Robubeyah was from the word Rabb, and we're going to have to deal with that next week inshallah, because I don't want to start that topic now, we're not going to finish it. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين.